Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the current state of the Homeland Security Department as seen by former DHS Secretary and Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano. Also tonight, Greater Phoenix Leadership celebrates 50 years of helping shape the valley's growth. And a new children's book takes its young readers on a picturesque nature walk. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Republican leaders on Capitol Hill today announced a plan to end the shutdown of the Homeland Security Department. The proposal still needs to pass Congress, and it's unclear when that vote will take place, but it's one of the few positive headlines in what's been a troubling year involving the department's actions and its leadership. Joining us now is former DHS Secretary and Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano. Governor, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ted.
Yeah, the thoughts on DHS and thoughts on the state of DHS in this time of war.
Well, I have many thoughts. One of them is that DHS has been ill-served over the last year, and particularly during this latest shutdown. Americans have experienced it with lines in airports and the like, but there are so many functions that DHS performs that have really been stagnant during this whole period. I'll just list one. The Cyber Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, is responsible for cybersecurity for the nation's critical infrastructure, power systems, water systems, telecommunications, and the like. And we know Iran has been a very active cyber adversary of the United States for years, and we're at war with Iran now. But yet CISA has been basically shut down during this shutdown. So the first thing that needs to happen is they need to get DHS up and running again.
Yes, and it sounds like that will happen, although again, we don't know. It's like there's a two-pronged approach, but we don't know when the vote on that is going to happen. But the original mission, and you should know, the original mission of this department was what?
Well, it was originally formed in the wake of the attacks of 9/11. And it was formed by combining 22 formerly different agencies from different legacy departments, and then adding a few agencies to that, out of the belief that those attacks could have been better prevented if there were all of these agencies were under one umbrella roof. And so they gave us what was then Immigration and Naturalization Service, and Customs is now CBP, Customs and Border Protection, ICE, and CIS, Citizenship and Immigration Services. They gave us FEMA. They gave us the Coast Guard. They gave us TSA. They gave us the Secret Service, to name just a few of the major operational components of the department. It's the third largest department of the federal government.
And the mission over the years, has that mission changed? Has the emphasis of the department changed?
Well, I think during the first years, and there were two Republican secretaries before me, and then I was the first Democratic secretary, but our priorities were basically the same: the safety and security of the American people in the homeland, and taking action to protect the nation's aviation system, which was still under constant threat in the wake of the 9/11 attack. To improve our security at the borders of the United States, both the land borders and the sea borders as well, to do a better job at disaster response and recovery throughout the country, primarily to natural disasters. And so we had these major mission sets, and those were the focus until President Trump. And then President Trump, in his first term, and for sure in this last year, his first year of his second term, he really views the Department of Homeland Security as the Department of Immigration Enforcement. Every other mission in the department has had their budgets cut, people laid off, expertise diminished, and the like, all in the effort to engage in this mass deportation initiative.
Is that emphasis on immigration and deportation, is that taking away from the emphasis on protecting the homeland again in a time of war?
Well, I believe it is, in part because you have to think in the urge to get all of these immigration arrests made, whether they're people who have committed other serious crimes or just people who happen to be in the country but they are undocumented. The 3,000 arrests per day quota that they set really put ICE on a different level. Now, in terms of border security and particularly the southwest border, I will give the administration credit. They've done a good job, and they've had the resources to do that job. And so traffic along that border has really been cut almost to nothing. However, that meant all those resources, Border Patrol agents and the like, who previously had been at the border, now are free to do operations in cities like Minneapolis and Chicago and Los Angeles and Memphis and New Orleans, wherever it is that they decide they want to target. And that has been a big part of the problem.
When you saw what happened in Minneapolis, did you just look at that and say, that's not my DHS?
I was frustrated and angry and disappointed. I know the men and women who were at the department when I was the secretary, and by and large, they are very committed to their jobs. They work really hard, but they were so ill-led, and it really became just performative law enforcement, not real law enforcement, and resulted in lots and lots of abuse, and of course, in the two killings that we know of.
Do you think that
Of U.S. citizens? Yeah.
Indeed. Do you think that guardrails are needed as far as ICE is concerned, as far as Border Patrol is concerned?
Yes, unfortunately, because what we saw in the last year in the behavior in ICE and Border Patrol is that without those guardrails, it just depends on whatever message the leadership and whatever permission the leadership is giving them. And if it's not constrained to very professional law enforcement standards, you have the types of abuses that we've seen.
Your thoughts on the new DHS Secretary, Markwayne Mullin? It sounds like maybe a slightly more diplomatic style. I don't know how you would be less of a diplomatic style than his predecessor. But what do you make of the new secretary?
Well, I don't know former Senator Mullin, so I can't speak out of personal knowledge. But what I've seen and read is he's doing some good things. He's not wearing body armor to the office. He's wearing a suit and tie. Those kinds of things make a difference. He said some good things during his confirmation hearing. He wants to take DHS off the front page of the paper. He wants to target undocumented immigrants who have committed other serious crimes, as opposed to just this kind of roving street patrol methodology that they were using. So I think that all is good, but he has no experience, absolutely none, in the wide remit of DHS. I have no idea what his views on FEMA are, what his views on cybersecurity are, how he would plan to modernize the TSA. His confirmation hearing was really just about immigration, and that traces back to the fact that in this administration, DHS has basically been turned into an immigration-only agency.
With that in mind, last question here. We do appreciate your time. Has the damage done to DHS? How much damage has been done, and how difficult to turn that around if you do see damage?
Well, I think there was damage, and the damage is in the public credibility given to DHS, and also another feature, which is that the way DHS was designed to operate was to coordinate with state and local law enforcement, state and local elected officials, not on immigration solely, but on all of the other areas that DHS touches. But because they were so heavy-handed and so big-footed in terms of dealing with communities that didn't appreciate being essentially invaded by ICE, that spirit of cooperation, which, if it's done well, improves the security of everyone, every individual and every community. And that spirit has been lost. And I think that will take a long time to recover.
Former DHS Secretary and Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano. Good to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
is about to go down.
The wildlife just take over.
The age of discovery is now.
It's a journey like no other.
Everyone is getting involved in this.
You'll see a kaleidoscope of color. It's like magic.
My hands are shaking.
I think I just fell in love.
I'm Chef Mark Charbel. Welcome to Check Please Arizona, the show where Arizona residents recommend their favorite restaurants. In this episode, it's all in the family with restaurants run by relatives serving up Italian, Mexican, and all-day dishes.
It feels like a hidden gem. The food is excellent, the service is great. Everything about it just feels like a special experience.
You like bacon, it seems. Like everything we talked about had a bacon or something. Watch Thursday at 7 p.m. on Arizona PBS.
Across Arizona's vast desert landscapes, water and stone tell the story of time.
I did change into my water shoes for this.
Over millions of years, water has worked as an artist, painstakingly carving directly into the landscape. From the fiery orange walls of Sedona to the desert washes and the rare Arizona waterfall, the long dialogue between water and stone endures. Watch Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on Arizona PBS.
Greater Phoenix Leadership is an organization that's worked for the past 50 years to help improve the valley by way of business and civic leadership involving issues ranging from education to transportation to the region's overall economy. To learn more, we welcome GPL Chair Ken Van Winkle and GPL's immediate past board chair, Pam Cahaley. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. Ken, we'll start with you. Give me a better definition of Greater Phoenix Leadership.
Greater Phoenix Leadership is a collection of the CEOs around the valley that come together to help what I often phrase as moving Phoenix from a town to a city. It's a group that underneath the surface helps guide the community, helps support issues that are important to the community, and helps the community move forward for everybody.
Yeah, and Pam, as far as right now, we are a city. We're a big city, but there's still a little bit town aspect, isn't there?
There is, yes. And I actually moved here 8 years ago, and I thought, it's just a small little city. It's not.
Yes.
So the outside perception is that it is a small little city.
How do you bring together talent, leadership? How do you bring everyone together? How do you find consensus?
That's a great question. So we have 124 CEOs that are members of Greater Phoenix Leadership. And they all have different opinions, right? They represent different businesses, but they all are here to make sure that the Arizona economy and business environment is strong. And so as long as we use that as kind of our core North Star, that's how we get consensus. What's the best for Arizona? What's the best for the business community?
And to create action on priority issues, if I read kind of the mission statement here, define priority issues.
So what we do is we divided our organization to a number of different steering committees, a number of different groups. And we look at the priorities in the community, including infrastructure, arts and culture, education, and public policy. And so we allow each member, along with what Pam was just saying, each member to get involved where they feel like they're most interested, where they think they can add the most value, where they think they can have the most impact. So that kind of leads to coming together in groups for different causes, for different purposes, so that we can have a well-rounded community and serve everybody.
These meetings, these groups, turning them into action, what's involved there?
It's getting consensus, as you indicated first, and then mapping out a course, and then talking to the individuals that can be impactful, whether it's at the state level, regulators, lawmakers. So it's influencing, it's using our power or our presence to influence.
It seems like GPL is often mentioned in terms of regional transportation. It's one of the many issues, but that's a biggie, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is a biggie. I mean, as you grow, expand, and connect, you need to have infrastructure in place. You know, it's not only just roads, it's water, it's power, it's wastewater, it's everything. And I think one thing that we do is we all have, and you've gotten at a question a couple of times about how do we build consensus. Our goal is to make this a better community, and all the CEOs want to do that. And so we can come together with that as a goal even though we come at it from different directions. And that's how ultimately we make the decisions.
Can you compare, just in comparison, the Chamber of Commerce does what? GPL does what?
Do you want to take that one?
You know, GPL is an organization that is made up of the leadership of the businesses. It's the top, it's the CEO, it's the true leader of the business. And it comes together to help guide and support government, people running for office, different organizations out there. Whereas the Chamber of Commerce is a group of businesses that have designated members to it from the businesses that come together to help grow the business. We're helping grow and make it a better community.
Education, I would think, would also be a biggie. It's always big, especially when it comes to funding. GPL's place there.
Big place there. That's one of our top priorities. And it's been since we started 50 years ago. When we looked at what the issues were that they were focused on 50 years ago, education was one of them. It's still our top priority. It's still one of the things that we spend a lot of our time on.
And Greater Phoenix leadership came out of the Phoenix 40. Those who've been here a while will remember the Phoenix 40. Why the change? How did it develop? Talk to us about the history.
So it started in 1975 with a meeting with the governor, Raul Castro at the time, with business leaders at the iconic Arizona Biltmore, to come together to address the issues of the time: crime, education, infrastructure. As it grew, and as the city grew, as you mentioned, now we became a big city, it was a big tent, and we needed to bring more people into it and within it. And in the 1993, 1994, Mark DeMichael, Jerry Coangelo got together and said, you know, we need to bring more people into this tent. We need to have them be part of this. We need to understand how they can help and what are their issues. So we grew it to grow with the city. And it is today, with the 134 members, very broad tent and very large tent.
Last question. Biggest challenge right now that you see facing GPL, facing the city?
I would say education is probably continues to be at the top of the list. We've got Prop 123 that is looming, and we've got to get an answer for that very quickly.
And I'm sorry, but this is the last question.
Okay.
Politicians, how do you decide who to endorse, or do you endorse?
We look for and support leaders who believe that business is a way to drive this community, that helping our citizens is through growing our businesses, having a vibrant economy, and we look for people who are running for office, and we support people who are business-minded, business-oriented, and want to see our economy and our city grow, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on.
Ken Van Winkle, Pam Cahaly, good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on 50 years at GPL.
Thank you so much.
I had 5 ancestors.
Several ancestors.
8 Patriot ancestors.
I have 34 proven ancestors who fought in the American Revolution.
I would tell them how proud I am of their sacrifice, the fact that they were willing to go out and give up everything and commit treason against the crown for the beliefs of freedom and liberty.
I would ask them what led them to fight or support the cause of freedom in the colonies for American independence.
Thank you for the sacrifices, the lives and fortunes that people lost for our freedoms and to create this country that we are so proud to live in today.
I would reinforce to them how thankful I am every day for their sacrifices and what they did to bring freedom to the United States of America and to found this country with freedom for all and the opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
A mother-daughter duo has teamed up to write a new children's book about the wonders of nature, including the medicinal and practical value of plants. The book is titled Chasing Jacarandas. The co-authors join us now, Erin Millay and her mom, Mary Beth Ostrander. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. Mary Beth, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
How did the idea for this book come about?
I had always wanted to write a book of some kind, my whole different life. At different times in my life, it was different kinds of books. But once I had grandchildren, then I knew I wanted to write a book for them.
And how long did it take, Erin? How long did it take to get this thing from her idea, or your idea too, I'm sure, to the book?
About 5 years.
Wow. Talk about the process.
We started in 2020 when everything kind of got quiet. We had some extra time, so I said, let's bring this book to life. Let's make this idea happen.
And jacaranda trees there, jacaranda trees everywhere. Why jacaranda trees?
So it began with my oldest, Audrey. When she was a little toddler, we would go on family walks around the neighborhood and in the springtime, and we'd point out the jacaranda trees. We just thought they were beautiful, and she'd count them as we walked around. So that kind of inspired the storyline of, different stops throughout the day and pointing them out.
And they really are beautiful, and it's a great way, and the book kind of does this as well. Teach kids about plants, teach kids about vegetation, even
Just
more,
noticing nature, taking a walk, taking some quiet time, some downtime.
Yeah.
And just enjoy.
Yeah, it's first of a series of books about plants. Is that what am I reading this right here?
Well, we would like to explore that later.
Yes. We actually
kind of trying to catch our breath.
We are. We thought maybe oceans could be the next, medicinal use of marine plant life.
Well, and that's a way to go to the ocean and have some fun by the shore, huh?
Right.
Exactly.
It's a mom and a daughter writing about a mom and a daughter.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, huh? I mean, was that the plan? Did you guys decide, Mary Beth, we'll start with you. Did you decide to work together from the get-go?
Yes, we did. I love writing, and we went from rhyming to not rhyming to rhyming again. And Erin was very helpful with the rhyming because she has a music background. So she would be, let's count the beats of these words. And so that helped a lot.
A little iambic pentameter going on there.
And the cadence.
Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah.
You're both pharmacists too, correct?
Yes.
How did that play into it?
My favorite part of pharmacy has always been the botany part, tied in with the biology. I've always liked that. I've always liked going back into time and really learning about the early herbalists and how they used herbs for medicinal purposes, because that's really where pharmacy began.
Yeah.
And it is still useful in that way. So there was just an interest in a...
Erin, did Mom did she kind of go down a rabbit hole every once in a while with the medicinal stuff? Did you have to pull her back?
I was like, well, we wanted to have sort of a STEM section in the book somewhere. We wanted to put some informational facts for kids too at the end.
Yeah,
so that's what we ended up
the
doing.
Get Smart section, right? Is that what that's all about?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we tied it in.
All right, Erin, I'm going to ask you about this because this is a beautiful book. I mean, every page is just wonderfully illustrated. Who is Brock Nicole?
He is an illustrator out of Canada. And when we were writing the words and the rhyme and the descriptive words of nature in the book, we both envisioned a watercolor type book. So when we were kind of going through our list of illustrators and looking at their works, we wanted to find one that could create what we envisioned for the book.
And did he create what you envisioned?
Yeah, he was great. He took it and ran with it. He's so experienced and talented.
Did you give him guidance at all?
He would ask us questions, just general things about placement of pictures or, what we actually wanted in the picture sometimes, but he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, did the artwork give you, as the authors, new perspective?
I'm trying to think. I just was blown away by his art because I felt like he was spot on helping to create the whimsicalness that we wanted to achieve and to really bring the words to life.
Indeed, and they do come to life, so much so, Erin, I have to ask you, what do you want young readers to take from this book?
We want to encourage children to go outside and kind of step away from screens and be out in nature and notice the beauty, because it is fleeting. I mean, these trees only bloom a few weeks every year, so you only get a month to maybe see them. And ironically, I saw the first one blooming this week before we came here to talk to you, so they're just starting to bloom right now here in Arizona.
That's great. And I have to mention the inscription. I don't know if you put it on all the books, but the inscription on my book is, "We hope you will follow nature. It will never cease to fascinate and provide adventure."
Yeah.
Why did you choose those words?
That's just what I believe from my heart. And that's what I want kids to get from it, because the investigativeness and the creativity that you can find via nature, I really think it spurs on education, it spurs on new ideas, and especially in the plant area.
Indeed, and it spurs on books too. Congratulations on this book. Must be awful fun just to hold this thing.
It is. It's still hard to believe it's actually here and
I
present.
would imagine so. Congratulations to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And that's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Theater Company at Tempe Center for the Arts presents The Roommate. An empty nesting Midwesterner rents a room to an East Coast stranger, sparking an unlikely friendship filled with comedy, risk, and second chances. April 11th through 26th. Tickets at ATC.